came first day of practice with all my gear, my whole softball bag, my uniform and stuff, everything that I got, and there's only 2 girls that had a softball glove. And everybody had jeans on, and I said, oh no. And if you love the sport outside of school, it can be really frustrating to know you're the only person that knows the game. So you might think, oh, like you should leave because you're not gonna grow there, but ultimately it was humbling and teaching me how to really love this sport for what it is, and helping teach my teammates what the sport is, and sharing with each other, because I can learn from them too. So there's a whole lot of lessons that come from being in sports, aside from what Tariq mentioned, staying out of trouble, because I know there was a ton of people my age and my friends, even that were super close to me, that were doing a lot of the things that I know we weren't supposed to. And while that was a temptation, ultimately sports kept me straight and disciplined, and I wanted to play, so I can't be doing all this extra stuff if I want to play, and I'm just being the competitive person I am. Knew that you couldn't do both at the same time, so I had to pick one. So it's all about your choices, who you reach out to, what you're passionate about. I know that we all have a lot of friends, and friend groups are important at this age, but know that you have the power, and you get the choice to choose the right friends in your life. So if you have people that are trying to tell you to do different things because it's cool or it's fun to do, or it looks like everyone's doing that, trust me, they're not. So you can choose to find those good friends, but you also gotta be that good friend first. So Western's been a great place to take me up. I've been to college, I've traveled like Tariq, where we get to go to places where I would have never went without sports. And I know that Western played a big part in just my growth and as an athlete, as a person. And at the end of the day, you gotta be okay with yourself. You gotta be the one to look at yourself in the mirror and like yourself. So if you're ever in trouble or struggling, know that your teammates are there for you. Your coaches are there for you. Western has a ton of coaches that have been here so long. I'm like, you guys are still here. So know that you guys have such a great amount, not just of quantity, but all the quantities that you got, they are all quality. So please reach out to them whenever you need help, or they're just here to cheer you on, because they reach out after you leave here and they want to see you succeed, they want to see you grow. And if you can't find anyone, know that they are here for you. And honor your family. One thing that I did growing up, I was mad at my parents all the time because they wanted me to do this, this, and this, but I see all my friends going to do that, that, that. And I wanted to go do that too because, it looks cool. But ultimately looking back, I see how much love was there to keep me straight, to keep me safe, to keep me, going down the right path, to be able to look back and see that was real love. To show me not everybody has parents to love on them, to push them, to support them, to do the right thing. So if you're a parent here today or your family member, thank you. You guys play a big part in your athletes' lives and your kids' lives, and they're all our kids. It's not just that's my kid, so I'm gonna point to them and talk trash about the other one, even though, maybe they shouldn't be playing that game. But there's so many things that can go good, and they're all of our kids. They're all a part of, the Western family especially, but just know that there is so much good happening here. And I'm just so grateful to be here, and I know my 5 minutes is probably up. But thank you for sticking with me, and just thank you for everything.
She said that you were a family here. It was pretty cool when Kaylee went to college and you turn on the TV and she's playing D1 softball and you're like, I know that girl, right? She's out there on the field. And we do that with a lot of our alumni, a lot of our coaches be like, hey, this person's playing here, they're gonna be on TV. And it was, it's always a proud moment because you're like, that's a Western kid, right? So last but not least, we have Ms. Rodriguez, who was an amazing sprinter here in her time and went off to do a lot of good things. I'm going to have Vazu introduce her. So here you go.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Vasu Pukka. I'm a student ambassador and a second-year Varsity Talks officer. And today I have the pleasure of introducing Kara Rodriguez. So Kara Rodriguez attended Western until 2002. She ended her high school career at Wilson High School in Long Beach. So during her time at Western, she made a significant impact. She was considered the fastest female runner in Orange County. After high school, she went to USC on a D1 scholarship, and then she was also part of the Puerto Rico national track team and a two-time Olympian. So I'll let Carol take over now in a short introduction, and everyone please give a round of applause for Carol Rodriguez.
Hello, good morning. I'm just going to take any questions, and if anybody wants to ask me anything, my experience here, if you guys have any questions as far as, what to do next, high school goes by really fast, and you look up and you're in college and then you're an adult, so it's kind of scary. I will say having a plan, having a blueprint, and following it makes a very big difference. So I'm here to take any questions. Feel free to ask anything.
My first question to you is, how does your success in sports, or how did your success in sports translate over to other aspects of your life? Because obviously, you can't be an athlete forever. So how does the success that you got through athletics translate over to other aspects of your life?
Well, that's a good question. So basically, being an athlete, we all know we have practice every day. And sometimes you don't want to get up and go to practice. Sometimes you just want to lay in bed or make excuses and not go. But what it does is it keeps you disciplined and it gets you ready for life because, once you get into the real world, you have to be able to produce and be able to, make it to the level that you want to make it to. And I believe being an athlete helped me being able to visualize and make a plan and actually executing. I would say, as an athlete, we have to execute, and we have to be able to, go out there and win those championships, or win the race, or win the game. So I feel like it definitely helps being an athlete. You kind of have that edge when you get into your career, whatever career choice you want to get into. It definitely helps with just being able to push forward and push through, and not give up on yourself. So, yeah. Any other questions?
What's your why? Like, why'd you wake up every? What was your why?
For me, I would say my biggest why was just I wanted to change my life. Touching like on one of the other speakers, I went through a lot when I was here in school. Track definitely kept me out of trouble. A lot of my friends, they didn't graduate. A lot of my friends dropped out. My why was I wanted to change my life. I wanted to be able to go to college. My parents didn't have the money to send me to school. So my why was basically just wanting to change my life and wanting more for myself and wanting to be able to create a future for myself. So, and then just the love for the sport. Track is a really difficult sport. A lot of athletes don't like to run, and they always say running is every other sport's punishment. So I will say, just the love for the sport, the love to compete, the feeling of being free when you're running and having that freedom. So that was my why. Any other questions? Right. So I get really nervous before I run. No matter how many times I've run, running here as a high school athlete on that track, I haven't been to it. It was dirt when I went here. I'm not sure if I hope it's still dirt. Okay, so yeah, running on that track, and I always got nervous. And Coach Polk and Coach Clark were really good mentors, and I would take that nervous and just turn it into just straight competitive, fierce, and grit. You know, it never changed. When I was at USC, it was the same thing. At the Olympics, it was the same thing. I always get nervous, and it's like just because I put very high expectations on myself. And but once the gun goes off, you know you're ready. You know you've been training, you've been prepared. So it's like you get nervous, but then once the gun goes off, you know you're feeling that freedom of just being free and running and competing and excelling in the sport. So any other questions for me? Okay, well, I'm glad to be here, and it's been 20 years since I've been here, and the school looks the same, but nicer, and I'm happy to be here and see everybody and see all my old coaches and teachers, and got to see them before they retire. So I want to say thank you for the program and what it's done for me. And without competing in sports, I wouldn't be where I'm at today. I wouldn't have went to USC. I wouldn't have went to the Olympics. You know, I would say just remember, don't get distracted. There's going to be a lot of distractions while you're in school, while you're, you know, competing. Some of your friends might tell you, hey, don't go to practice or don't do this. You know, sometimes you have to just kind of break away from some of those friends and just do your own thing and make a plan. You know, write it out, write it down. That's really important. Writing down your plan on paper, you know, that's going to help. Only 20% of people do that, and that's really important. Writing it down, writing your goals down, whether it's on your shoe, whether it's on a whiteboard. Make sure you look at it every day, visualize it, see it happening, manifest it, and it'll happen. So I want to say thanks.
Thank you, Carol. I'm going to take just a quick comments here. First off, I'd like to thank Monique and Jaime and any other people that were involved in getting this organized, because it takes a lot of work. And also I want to mention one man here, Vasu Baga. I got to know Vasa last year really, really well. Came out for track, and there's a lot of time to get to talk on the field and so on. But there's a future doctor right here. He's going to be an interventionist radiologist, and someday just might save your life. But definitely a bright young man. Like I said, ambassador. Made a call to Annie to come out for our board member. I'll just give it up for Annie. He's been a board member here. And I've seen Annie since the 80s, and this is the first time I actually got to talk to her. You know, grew up in Long Beach, went to Long Beach where I live, and you know, Millikan High School and so on. So it was a pleasure to get to talk to you. Would you like to say a few words, Annie, real quick? Come up and say a few words, since we got you out of bed early today on this beautiful Saturday morning. Annie Piercy's our board member. How many years have you been board member now for us?
Let's see. I started in 2006, so what's that, 17 years? Yeah, about 17 years I've been a board member, but I also was a teacher in this district. Loved it. And like we said, I never worked. I went to school every day and had a ball. I loved being a teacher. I started teaching in 1968, and I'm still here. Not teaching, but I'm working in education because it's extremely important. So all of you, if you've been listening, you know, you've got to, you know, whether you're an athlete or whether you're just, you know, really hitting the books hard and you want to move on and be something, work at it. It takes work. And don't be afraid to ask for help. If you're having difficulties, there's all kinds of people around. Athletics are great. I had two daughters who were both involved in sports, and one of the comments made was that, you know, I got to go places I never would have been. Well, so did my daughters. They went across the country playing soccer or volleyball, or, you know, they did that. And this morning I see we have a girls' flag football team. That is phenomenal. I am so glad to see that, because when I went to school, I was in sports too, but it was a totally different story then. That was before Title IX. When I went to school, I liked to play basketball because I'm tall. But at that time, women could only play half court. We weren't strong enough to play a whole court. Okay, but that was way back then. Nowadays, girls have that opportunity. So I'm really proud to see 3 girls up here and 1 guy. So gender favoritism. But anyway, I didn't plan on talking, but I do want to say this is a great idea. I love it. I love the fact that we've got banners for each one of our senior athletes and people that, now, band too, because that's an athletic endeavor, all right? As cheer is, believe me, you've got to be in good condition to walk on and carry an instrument or to be jumping around and cheering and hopping and doing acrobatics. So it's a great thing to be involved. Stay involved, work hard. You will reap the benefit. And I hope to see a lot of you again next year at the next breakfast.
Thank you, Ms. Piercy. We do have one more alumni that we interviewed. Unfortunately, he couldn't be here because he's back east. Ramadan Ahmed is a med student at Johns Hopkins University. I had the pleasure of coaching Ramadan for 4 years, and like Coach Clark said, you know, we get a lot of knuckleheads, and Ramadan was definitely a knucklehead. But man, he matured year after year. He ended up with one of the highest GPAs on our campus his senior year. He ended up going to Cal State Fullerton. He was part of the Gear Up program. Graduated #1 in his class in the pre-med program. He got into 12 medical schools, placed real high on the MCAT, and got a full ride basically to go back east and be a med student at Johns Hopkins University. So he couldn't be here, but Vazu interviewed him this week, and I hope you guys can kind of see it. I know you'll be able to hear it, but I'm going to go ahead and play it. It's 2 minutes. We edited from 8 to 2, or Vazu did, and so we're just going to go ahead and play that and conclude with this video interview.
Good afternoon, Pioneers. My name is Varsity. I am the student ambassador for Western High School, and I had the opportunity to get this one-on-one interview with Ramadan Ahmed. He was an alumni at class of 2017 for Western High School. He also wrestled, and he was a student athlete, and I'm currently a medical student at Johns Hopkins University. So I'll let Ramadan introduce himself.
How's it going, everyone? My name is Ramadan, class of 2017. Grew up in Anaheim, so I went to the classic schools, Danbrook Elementary, Orange View, then I went to Western for high school. I wrestled for 4 years. After high school, I went to Cal State Fullerton for college, went to Stanford for clinical research, and then afterwards I started medical school at Johns Hopkins.
We'll get started with a couple of questions. Maybe we can learn some insight from you. Can you share your journey from Kenya to the United States and how that experience had influenced your path to becoming a doctor?
Yeah, so I was born in a very interesting place called Wajir, Kenya, and this place is bordered by Ethiopia and Somalia. Came to this country when I was 5 years old with my dad and my mom, and then afterwards my family members followed pursuit. Ever since I was a young kid, you know, my family members always had trouble getting healthcare. And that's a lot of problems for immigrant families, right?
How was your involvement in high school and being a student athlete? Like you said, you wrestled for 4 years. How did that shape your character and skills, and how did those experiences help you in the near future after high school, after you left high school?
To be honest, I think Coach Flores says this all the time. Wrestling is the hardest thing that you're gonna do. And what it really does is that it builds a really good character. You become a very accountable person. When you make a mistake, you don't blame others. You don't look at other people to blame. You look at yourself, and you try to improve upon yourself.
What advice would you give to students in general, like about overcoming adversity?
The advice I would give to my fellow students coming from the same positions I coming from is that do not be deterred by not having opportunities, because you can make your own opportunities.
How do your ups and downs make you the person you are today? Like, what's your why? Like, what's your why for waking up every morning thinking, I'm gonna make it happen every single time?
I think what it is that when you act with purpose, when you live your life with purpose, and those barriers come across you and you face obstacles, the meaning that you feel in your work is what's going to lift you up. For me, I just think about my family. I want to be able to support my family, but not only my family, but I want to be able to support my community. I want to be able to, you know, be helpful to the people that live in the margins of society. So for me, I live with purpose, and I try to work with purpose.
I just want to say thank you for, you know, I know you're a busy person, but thank you for the time to get this one-on-one interview and hopefully get some insight to our pioneers back home. And just thank you for the opportunity, man. It was a pleasure meeting you, sure.
No worries, go Pios.
Yeah.